the 16th year of Emperor Zhaoyuan's reign, a decree swept across the land like spring wind through falling petals. The imperial palace would hold a grand concubine selection. From the highest mountains to the quietest provinces, noble families prepared their daughters. But this time, the emperor would not choose by rank or lineage alone, he would choose by portrait. Each girl was to sit for an official painter, and the emperor would study their likenesses in private. He sought a woman of elegance, serenity, and soul, a beauty that ink could not hide and a spirit that silk could not mask. In distant Yunzhou province, there lived a girl named Li Wenro. She was the daughter of a once revered general who had died in disgrace. Though her family name had faded from the court's memory, Wenro herself was known across the province. For her quiet grace, her kindness, her beauty that felt less like thunder and more like moonlight. When the decree arrived, her aunt urged her to prepare, saying, "Even fallen leaves may be noticed if they float into the emperor's gaze." Wenro only smiled. What use is beauty in a place that has no room for ghosts? Still, she obeyed. She sat for her portrait dressed in simple white, her hair unadorned, her gaze steady and unafraid. The painter sent by the court was Master Lu, once famed in the capital, now older, slower, and eager for coin. Among the many girls vying for the emperor's attention was Lady Zhaoyuan, the pride of a powerful family. Proud and cunning, Lady Shen had heard whispers of Wenro's beauty. She feared the competition. And so, one night, her maid brought Master Lu a pouch heavy with silver, along with a message. "Make her ugly. A face the emperor won't glance at twice." Master Lu hesitated, then nodded. When Wenro saw the final portrait, her lips parted slightly. It was her, yet not her, her eyes too wide, her mouth uneven, her expression mocking. A girl twisted by the brush, not flattered by it. But she said nothing. She bowed to the artist, thanked him politely, and allowed the portrait to be sent. Weeks passed. In the capital, the emperor examined each painting laid before him. Dozens of beautiful faces stared back, some gentle, some proud, some clearly posed to please. Then he saw one that made him pause, not out of admiration, but disbelief. The girl on the silk looked absurd, her features unbalanced, her expression strange. "Who is this?" he asked. "Li Wenro of Yunzhou," a minister replied without interest. "The daughter of a disgraced general." The emperor frowned. "This one does not understand harmony. Strike her name from the list." And with one command, her fate was sealed, not by destiny, but by deceit. Back in Yunzhou, Wenro returned to her quiet life. She fed the koi in the lotus pond. She lit incense before her father's shrine. She painted, not herself, but flowers, the sky, things that did not lie. She never mentioned the portrait again. But fate does not always follow the brush. One evening, as silver rain fell gently across Yunzhou, a traveler sought shelter at the edge of the province. He was cloaked in common robes, face shadowed beneath a hood. Unbeknownst to the villagers, he was none other than the emperor himself, traveling in secret to observe the empire he ruled. Caught by the storm, he stumbled upon a small shrine by a quiet pond. Lanterns glowed dimly inside. The scent of tea and incense drifted through the air. There, tending the altar, was Wenro. She turned as he entered, surprised but unafraid. "You should come in," she said gently. The rain won't stop soon." He stepped inside, nodding his thanks. She poured him tea without asking who he was. They sat for a while in soft silence. The rain tapped the rooftop like an old lullaby. Eventually, she looked at him and said, "You look like someone searching for something, or running from it." He gave a faint smile. "And what about you?" She looked down. "I think I've already lost what I was meant to find." There was no bitterness in her voice, only quiet acceptance. After a moment, she glanced toward the pond and murmured, "Strange, isn't it? How a single brushstroke can change the course of a life." He tilted his head. "You paint?" She nodded. "I used to, but some faces are easier to forget than to forgive." He studied her, the gentleness in her voice, the strength in her sorrow. "If someone truly saw you," he said slowly, "not through ink or rumor, but as you are, I think he'd remember you forever." She smiled faintly. "Then I hope he exists, somewhere." He asked for her name. She shook her head with a soft smile. "Names are for those who meet again." He left before dawn, the rain finally gone, the earth fresh and breathing. But something about her lingered in his chest like a thread he could not untangle. Back in the palace, he could not forget her. Her words returned to him in quiet moments. Her voice echoed in his mind. And so, he did something he had never done before. He summoned the discarded portraits. They were brought to him in dusty bundles, faces long dismissed. He flipped through them, until one made him stop. The distorted one, the cruelly painted girl, the one he had once laughed at. On the back, in faded ink, Li Wenro, Yunzhou Province. His hands trembled. His breath caught. That girl, that voice, that sorrow. She had spoken of brushstrokes, of fate, of being misrepresented. The truth struck him like thunder. She had been betrayed. He sent messengers immediately. Swift horses galloped south with gold-sealed letters. "Bring her to me," he commanded. "The girl from the shrine. Bring her safely." But fate had already moved ahead of him. Lady Shenyu Yang, hearing whispers that the emperor sought Wenro, panicked. She knew her secret would be uncovered. And so, she sent her servant south with a vial of poison and a single order. Make it look like nothing at all. She must not reach the capital. By the time the imperial envoy arrived at the pond, it was too late. They found Wenro beneath the willow tree, beside an unfinished painting. Her head rested gently against the wooden bench. Her brush had slipped from her fingers. The ink still glistened on the silk, one last lotus blooming across the canvas. Her lips were blue. Her eyes were closed. The koi did not stir. The pond was still. And in that stillness, it felt as though the world had stopped to grieve her. The emperor did not speak when he heard. He only sat beside her final painting for a long time, unmoving. Then, with quiet hands, he took the canvas and left the shrine behind. Lady Shen was exiled. The painter, Master Lu, vanished. But none of it could bring her back. In Wenro's memory, the emperor built a pavilion by the pond where they met. He called it the House of the Lost Portrait. Inside, he hung a new painting, one he had created himself, with trembling fingers and a heart split in two. It did not capture perfect beauty. It captured her, the girl with quiet strength and a sadness too deep for the world. He never chose another concubine. Each year, on the night of their meeting, he returned to that pavilion, lit incense, and poured a cup of plum wine into the pond. And the people say that when the wind is still, and the lotus flowers bloom under the silver moon, you can hear the soft sound of a brush dancing across silk, and the faint, distant laughter of a girl whose beauty was stolen, but whose spirit was never lost.